Good morning and welcome to every one of you. It is promptly at 9:15. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us for this session. I hope that you were able to catch the keynote speaker at today's GIS kickoff. It was very insightful, I thought, see how the Department of Health has used GIS. This session on GIS in very non-traditional ways is brought to you by Leah Harmon. Glad to have you here. I'm going to be moderating this session, and all of you, all 55 plus of you, I'm really glad to see this turnout. We'll all be muted with your cameras off. However, you can type any questions you have in the chat window. I will relay those to Leah at the end of the presentation. So don't worry about recording. All of this is being recorded and will be available later. So let's kick off. Leah Harmon's the Director of Information Systems at the Indiana State Department of Agriculture. After growing up on a farm in southern Indiana, she never expected to make her life works in the agriculture industry. In her role at ISDA, Leah uses her design background to creatively solve problems and implement technology across the agency and with partners. One of the most innovative thinkers here at Indiana. Glad to have you here, Leah. It is all yours. You're still muted.
That would be helpful. Thanks for that introduction. Yeah, so the official title of this presentation is GIS in very non-traditional ways. I'm calling it No Maps, No Problem. I do have an architecture background, so I think of technology from the design sense. And over the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to show you how I'm leveraging Esri's Experience Builder and Survey123 to create an online training portal for Indiana soil and water conservation districts. Feel free to put any questions, comments, anything in the chat. I'll be happy to answer anything you have towards the end of the presentation. This project is just beyond a proof of concept phase. We've not officially launched it to our constituents yet, but I like to use GISA as kind of a giant focus group to see how projects might shake out before I launch them to my clients. Any and all feedback is extremely welcome. Okay. So throughout this presentation, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about the project, our vision and process that we've used to get through up to this point, a demo of how I'm building out the platform, the benefits we hope to see, and then lots and lots of times for questions. So prior to COVID-19, probably like many of your organizations, ISDA conducted the vast majority of its training in person, classroom style. And then when the pandemic hit in March 2020, we abruptly had to make that shift to virtual, which for ISDA has tended to be webinars that are presented live, but recorded and posted on either our YouTube channel or some of our partners' websites. And now that we're kind of living in this hybrid world, we're taking the time to evaluate training delivery to see what is the most effective and most efficient way to deliver trainings. Since also even prior to the pandemic in person, we saw a drop in training attendance. So we want to make sure that anything that we put out there is valuable to our constituents. So some of the issues we're seeing, particularly in the virtual world, is that people are sick of webinars. I can't tell you how many webinars I've sat on in the last 2 years. I mean, we're sitting on more now. And, you know, when I get an invitation for another webinar, I probably roll my eyes a little bit and, you know, have to really think about whether it's going to be worth my time. Another thing with webinars, if they are just posted online after the fact, referring back to that information isn't always easy. You know, are you actually going to remember that they talked about this one election issue at the 32-minute mark of this specific webinar? Probably not. Also, a lack of context. So a video presented just, you know, without supporting materials may not be the best resources. resource versus if you're at an in-person training, likely there's handouts or fact sheets or supplemental materials to go along with the training delivery. And from a program staff point of view, it's hard for us to track completion. We have a pretty good mechanism for tracking those that watch it live. I mean, I can see the participants here on this Teams meeting. Zoom has very similar features. But if you go back and watch the video after it's been posted, we don't really have a way to know that you watched the training. So we started coming up with this idea, and we've been talking about an online training module for quite some time. But we've never had the platform to build it on. We tried to build on SharePoint, but that was limiting and presented access issues to our broader audience. So we have a subset of our constituents that have access to a SharePoint site versus our larger group of soil and water conservation district supervisors that don't have access to our existing systems. We never had a place to build it just within the ISDA website or on any of our other Salesforce platforms. So this, when I found Experience Builder, it was like a light bulb went off. And looking at building an online training platform, we've all been on plenty of online trainings in the last 2 years. And I've been taking notes of what I like, what I don't, what I keep coming back to. And the platform I kept coming back to was Salesforce's Trailhead. It's simple, it's self-paced, and it is gamified. So I complete a training, I get a badge, and that's, you know, kind of that instant gratification that I like. So we had this idea of, could we use tools we already have, which turned out to be Experience Builder and Survey123, to build an online training platform. Now that we have the idea, how do we actually build the thing? I started poking around in Experience Builder, honestly, by mistake. I was working on a web app for one of our other divisions and clicked on the wrong button. But then whenever it opened up, I was like, I could do some things with this. So I started playing around with Experience Builder, but quickly realized that I couldn't start with the page. I needed to develop the content first. Because you can have the slickest system in the world, but if the content's not there, what's the point? Is anyone really going to use it? I, being the architect I am, like to write it out longhand, but I like to just have all the content in one spot before I even start building. Once I have an idea of where the content's going to go, then I also start gathering my resources, whether that's screenshots of various software platforms or links to different places out on ours or our partners' websites. Maybe that is a short little snippet of a video that I can then embed. I like to put all those resources just into a single folder on my OneDrive so they're all in one spot. And now that I have all the content and resources, that's when I start playing with what does the page going to look like. So I start on paper, and as you see in the picture, just kind of start with boxes and where things are going to go. And that can be pretty simple because there is always going to be some adjustment once you get into the actual online experience. The next thing I like to do is Survey123. You can build Survey123 directly in Experience Builder, but I like the option that Survey123 Connect gives me. So I like to build it outside of Experience Builder. And then the last thing I actually do is put things in Experience Builder. And once I have if I've done all this prep work, I can build a module pretty quickly. So now we're going to actually go through a demo of what my process looks like. So as I said, I like to start in Survey123 Connect, and I have this built modularly so that I can really just do a save as and go. So I'm going to take one of these I've already built and do a save as, and this is going to be called Grant Updates. I like to name them all KC, Knowledge Check, so that they're all kind of in a row later. So I'm going to open my KC Grant Updates. you can see I already have it set up as pages. We'll open the Excel form so you can see how I build it. Because I like to build these modularly, you can see all my field names, question names are pretty standardized. Question 1, question 2, some of them have a question 3. And if you go to the choices side of life, it's all A, B, C, D. This way I can build and just have to change the labels. So I have my content already written out on another screen. So I'm just going to copy and paste into this survey. So my first question, becomes how often do grant updates need to be completed? And we're going to fill in the choices appropriately for that question. Okay. And then the second question I have is actually a true-false question. So I can take out 2 of these answer choices, C and D. Just delete them. And true and false. And then the next thing I need to do is check my answers here. So the answer to question 1 is going to be B. So I need to make the correct language B. So it'll do a knowledge check. And then the answer to the second question is true. So I need to make these answer choices the right ones and save my document. I do have this set up as a pages style so that each group will be on its own page. And I just like that, so it's 1 question per page. So now if I go back to my survey itself, you see I have question 1, how often must grant updates be completed? If you click an incorrect answer, it will tell you incorrect. And if you click the correct answer, it will tell you correct. Same thing with the true-false question. Oh, that didn't work. All right, so that's why we test things, right? Save, it will back. So now if I go to the second question, that's right. And then every survey ends with just this contact info sheet, first name, last name, email address, and then SWCD or organization. And that just helps us with that tracking piece. So that we can then use Power Automate and compile all of our surveys into one spreadsheet and track by district or by training module. So now that this survey is ready to go and we've done our testing, we're going to publish it. Publishing doesn't make it, shared. We just want to make sure that it's available for use in Experience Builder. I do go back and change the sharing setting afterwards. So this is now published and I can use it in Experience Builder. So now let's go to Experience Builder. So Experience Builder, I start from ArcGIS Online Home and click the waffle menu and then Experience Builder. As I said earlier, kind of just stumbled upon this, but it's been a really cool new toy for us. So you can see I have a lot of different experiences built. What I do like is that it shows you their status. So all these are published, all of these are draft, and there is a third status that's red in the corner. It's published, but there's changes that are not published yet. So we're going to start from a new experience. And Esri does have a lot of great templates for various uses. I need to play with more of them. But I have found kind of my groove of just starting from a blank template. I typically start from blank scrolling. But in this instance, because I want all of my training modules to look and feel very similar to each other, I've actually created a template, and that's really easy to do. So if you're in Experience Builder and you have, a page kind of set up how you want it to be, you can just click on these 3 stacked dots and click Generate Template, and that will turn whatever is on the page into a template. So I have all this built out already. So whenever I just want to make a new training module, the page is already there laid out. So we're going to start with just kind of populating some of the items on the page. This one's going to be called Grant Updates. Same here. And you can see that it reverts back to different things. So there is some quirks. Ooh, that's way big. There we go. It converts to the defaults if you clear the whole thing. So it's just a little quirk of the system. So then I'm going to add a couple narrative sections here. And I have all these blocks set up just as auto populated, or auto sized rather, so that the blocks themselves will scale as you add content. So I have one text section. I want to label that as I go because it's easier to label your sections as you go. So if you're going back and rearranging things later, you're in a better spot, and it's not something that you then need to it saves some confusion later. So as you see, I added in another text section and positioned it on the page, resizing the text. And now I want to go in, because this is a software related, let me label this first. I want to add in a screenshot because it's software, so I can drag in an image tile, size it how I want it to be. And go in here to select an image, and should have had that pulled up before I started, but that's okay. Wrong box. Okay, live demos are always fun, aren't they? There we go. Okay, and then I want to add one more screenshot. And luckily this will direct to the same folder. Okay, and then if you want to just drag these around or reposition things, it's a simple drag and drop. And then, you can reposition them wherever you want them to be. Okay, so then I also have buttons here on the side column. This module isn't going to actually have a bunch of sections. So we're going to move the jump to section and the associated button over to the pending list. So if I were to ever add sections into this, they're already built here and formatted. So the resources tab, I want to have a button here for the login to our platform. Link. I did format the buttons to kind of match my standardized color schemes. So they're green rather than blue, which it would be the Esri default. I want to duplicate this, so I'm going to hit the duplicate button so that we already have one that's formatted as well. And then make this for the CWI website. Once again, labeling. And adding the link. Okay, and then our related modules. I've already built out a couple other modules that are related to this. So we will set that link. Oops. Help if I copied the right link. Yeah, we'll say. Okay. And then finally, now that I've got kind of all the content built in here, we're going to connect that Survey123. So I've already added in a survey module into, or a survey block into the Experience Builder page. And you can see here on the side, survey, the default is to create a new survey, but we're going to select an existing survey. And I have access to anything that is shared with me. So as you can see, this is where those KCs come in handy, so that it's all right there. So you can see the great updates that we published just a minute ago. We're going to insert that into the page. So now the survey's in, and so this is essentially done. I'm going to eventually go back and add some more screenshots, a little more narrative, but this module could be ready to go. So hit save. It's important to hit save often. I probably didn't hit save near enough right there, but it's okay. So hit save, and you can always click this button over here to preview the module or preview the page. So you can see what it's going to look like, go back, adjust, save, and then refresh it again. But I think this one's pretty all right, ready to go. So we'll hit publish. Once again, publishing doesn't make it public, but it just makes it available for use elsewhere. So I'm going to hit these three dots and hit view published item. And so this is what is actually published right now. And I'm going to copy this for our next phase. So I'm going to go back to Experience Builder Home, and I'm going to go to the training portal homepage. So this is kind of the landing page I have built for the training portal. And we want to add a link to that module we just built. So we're going to duplicate a button again and make it grant updates. And change the link. Save. And then you can see now that it's changed status to unpublished changes. And I'm going to go ahead and back and publish that. So if I go to the published item of the training portal homepage, now we have the grant updates button. And if I click there, it will take you to the grant updates module. So this is currently what our training portal looks like. We are in the process of just getting feedback and developing some content. So let's go back to my presentation. So we're going to continue to refine this concept. We've shown this to a couple key partners and have been bouncing around ideas internally. So we're working on just further polishing the experience itself, as well as developing more content. Once we get it up and running, we do want to have some dashboards to track training completion, both by county and by module, to see what's popular and what gaps we may have. Eventually, we would like to have a certification program for soil and water conservation districts. So those elected or appointed supervisors could say, hey, they are certified in SWCD financials or district leadership or something of that sort.
I'll just jump in real quick. You got 10 minutes of presentation before we get to the questions.
Okay. I probably won't need near that much, but that's all right. And offering this up as a data service to our partners. So now that we know that we can build these modules, provided the content is ready to go, that we can build these very efficiently and quickly, offering this up as a service to some of our partners that may not have the capacity to kind of build their own training platforms, or to that, you know, have training needs that kind of run parallel to ours. So we're excited to see where this can go. So some benefits of the Survey123 platform and Experience Builder as a developer, and I use the word developer very loosely. I have an art background. I am not a coder whatsoever. Is the drag and drop interface. The fact that I could build that module in, 15 minutes here live without any bit of code. It's not an additional license as well. So I have ArcGIS Online, I have, ArcMap, but this Experience Builder and Survey123 is included in your AGOL license. And also as a program staff, the ability to use Survey123 to allow for completion tracking for those who might not watch, a training live. That's going to be a game changer for our program staff. As a participant, it's self-guided. You don't have to drive to Kokomo at 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon to sit in this hour-and-a-half long training. You can come to it at any time that you want to complete the training. And for the most part, you're going to be able to complete a training in 20 to 30 minutes. There's no login necessary. So it's not another password for them to remember or forget and then call me and be like, hey, can you reset a password? It's there. It's just available to them through a website. The ability to come back to information later, not only to the narrative on the page, but those links to related resources. So if I'm going to fill out my grant update, I can go to that module that we just created and have a step-by-step guide, but then also a link to the system, a link to the website, a link to the requirements. So the ability to come back to information later is going to be very beneficial to our constituents. It's also mobile friendly. So Experience Builder automatically builds mobile friendly. And while you're creating that page, you can actually set what it's going to look like on a computer, on a tablet, on a phone. We know most of our clientele wants to be able to do things from their phones. So the fact that it's automatically mobile friendly is a big plus for us. So in general, some tips and tricks. Standardize where possible. You can see from my Survey123 that's set up as question 1, question 2, question 3 with choices A, B, C, and D. We were able to make that survey very efficiently. It also helps whenever we are automating the results into a single spreadsheet. Also building that template for Experience Builder saves a lot of time, and making sure that all the modules fit together. Keeping it organized, the more organization you're going to do up front, the better off you're going to be in the long run. So we've seen it with other software design projects where we maybe didn't know all the requirements in the beginning, and we were continuously playing catch up. So the more organized you are up front, the better off you'll be towards the end. It reduces confusion and duplication in later efforts. And just generally set yourself up for success. Take the time to really plan it out and, you know, figure out what your clients need, what your program staff needs, and that way you'll be able to come up with a solution that is the best fit for everyone. So that's the end of my slides. We are excited to build out this platform and want it to be useful for our constituents, our staff, and partners. If you have any questions, comments, get thinking about it later, feel free to contact me. My info is on the screen.
Speaking of questions, we do have one in the chat. This is from my former coworker, Adam Tyra. He's referring to the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet, when you were creating the Survey123 form. He says, is this spreadsheet something you have to build from scratch based on the syntax, or is there a template available from Esri or another source?
So Esri gives you, and let me just go back to Survey123 and start a blank one. Esri gives you essentially a spreadsheet built out with all the tabs and all of like the options, I guess. And then I build out appearance. So this would be on the screen right now, kind of the blank template that that Esri gives you. You can see there's drop downs for question types. And then you fill out the field name labels. You can change any of the appearances as well. And then the choices, it already gives you all of the columns you would need. And then you build out the syntax as far as like show hide and, you know, how exactly you want questions to appear. But Esri does give you like all the columns you need to start. And then I just, they actually give you a reference page as well to show like all the expressions and stuff and all the different appearances for questions. So they do give you a really good starting point, but you know, a little Google foo is usually needed too.
Google foo, that's the word of the day. I will piggyback on that to say that Survey123 can be created through the Survey123 website, and it's all very turnkey solution. You get what they give you, and it's a great way to get started.
Absolutely.
What you were doing here is through Survey123 Connect, which is a small program you download from the Esri website. And as you have demonstrated, it gives you much more flexibility. If you really want to open the hood and really customize it the way you have.
Yeah.
So I've tinkered with Experience Builder a bit, but not nearly as much as you have. First of all, I got to commend you for being so detail oriented. All of my items are just whatever the default name was. So hats off to you for being organized. Any questions, anything else that the audience would like to know, please punch it into the text chat window now.
Yeah, and I mean, on Survey123, I do try to build, you know, in the web browser where possible. But sometimes there's like with those, I build these in Connect because of the like, it's showing you whether it's correct or incorrect. I haven't been able to figure out how to do that in the web browser yet. But the Survey123 web app is the place to start. And then if there's some functionality, then go to Connect.
Right. So you're getting lots of thumbs up, lots of congratulations, and I agree with them. You have done a great presentation. And Jim says this is not as scary as I thought. So yeah, until you see how the drag and drop functionality, that interface is just really slick. Experience Builder in general, yeah, I really see this time next year everybody being a lot more familiar with it. So you can say that you learned from Leah first. Web apps are great. You're map interface that you traditionally, us GIS geeks traditionally see. You got a map and you got some widgets that goes with the map. But in this day and age, especially with so many things being like a virtual webinar that we're on right now, the presentation that you have created here with Experience Builder, I really think is just top notch. So yeah, you got followers now. People are Caleb's getting on board, and we're gonna be just lousy with Survey123 and Experience Builders from now on.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be the first one that tries things out, and then everybody hops on board. So I'll be the guinea pig gladly.
That says a lot for you to be the stick a chin out there and risk it. You did mention briefly that the survey or the Experience Builder has a mobile functionality, which it's part of what I've worked with here in DNR. I've created some preliminary solutions that really presenting the same data, although it's customized for laptop, I'm sorry, desktop, tablet, or a mobile phone. So that pending bullpen, I call it, is a great place to put the temporary store stuff that you're going to use in another platform. So if you're like the rest of me, you're going to remember some things that Leah has said today, and you're going to wonder how to get back to it again. I encourage everybody to stay in touch with GIO, and these presentations will be recorded and available. We'll all be able to reverse engineer Leah's work here and get our own up and running. Time's still remaining. If you haven't already, please check your agenda for this morning and for tomorrow morning. Pick out your presentations that you'd like to attend. As always, reach out to the administrators here if you have any questions, any comments, and I'm really glad. Oh, we do have one question. Thanks, Leah. You may have addressed this in the beginning, but do you have a specific license to do this work?
So this, I don't have anything special. As far as, you know, through the state, I have ArcGIS Online license, and then, you know, just the regular ArcMap desktop. But this is all done through AGOL. The only thing that I have set up differently than a little bit of my colleagues is I do have the publish rights, and that's just a GIO thing of quality control, of making sure that all of the stuff that we present has been kind of vetted. So I do have the publish rights for my agency.
All right.
Nothing special.
Well, it sounds great. I don't see anything else coming in. Just a lot of thumbs up, a lot of compliments. I think GIS Day 2021 is off to a great start, and I want to thank you, Leah, for your presentation, and thanks to the rest of you for joining. We look forward to interfacing with you again soon. Thanks again.